Damn, chill, you got another one?
What's poppin'? You already know the deal. You are now rockin' with no chill for real. We about to get ill. What did you expect for me to bow down, get soft and talk politically correct? They consider me a threat, especially if they goofy, cause I clown guys, no lies, I just do it truthfully. It's on the house like Snoopy, it's free in other words. I'm a nightmare to these super squares and nerds. I'm barbecuing with words when I'm through commentating. One thing you'll never see me ever do is hating, lying, exaggerating, or fabricating for views. If you not built for the street like a pair of shoes and square as a Rubik's Cube, stop it and leave the field, or wind up a topic on no chill for real. You square as a Rubik's Cube, stop it and leave the field, or wind up a topic on no chill for real. All gas, no brakes. Gotta keep the pressure on these cowards and these snakes. Honor over money, gotta do what it takes. Gotta keep the pressure on these cowards and these snakes.
Gotta stay going in.
All gas, no brakes. Gotta keep the pressure on these cowards and these snakes. Honor over money, gotta do what it takes. Gotta keep the pressure on these cowards and these snakes. Now, once again, for those who may not be aware, no, I have not changed the intro to my channel. That actually is the intro for another channel that I have called No Chill For Real. Every now and then, I'll drop a video from that channel on this channel to drive some traffic to that channel. On that channel, man, we talking about everything unrelated to prison. For the most part, we gonna keep it light. We gonna have fun. Every now and then, we gonna discuss some current events, and things may get a little serious as we're doing tonight. So anyway, man, if you're new to my other channel, or if you haven't subscribed to my other channel, tap in, subscribe, and let's get cracking. What's poppin'? You are now rocking with No Chill For Real. I'm not your doctor, and I don't care how you feel. So tonight we got a segment. It's called Straight Down the Pipe, where we discuss current events, man. So I'm going to be talking about a 12-year-old named Demarion Moorhead, who was recently shot and killed in downtown Nashville after he participated in the jumping of another individual, right? It was hard for me to count everybody, but I was able to at least count at least 7 or 8 dudes who at one time or another jumped this individual, this 24-year-old, and at one point in time, they was kicking him in the face, they was beating him, and this literally went on. This literally went on for 30 seconds, right? So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the uploaded fight that's on Instagram. I don't know exactly, or I probably won't be able to show you guys much because YouTube has a policy against violence, right? So I'll probably have to blurt a large portion of this fight out, right? But anyway, man, let's get into this fight, and then we're gonna discuss some things after we see also the news report discussing the incident. So yeah, let's check this out. And so, yeah, you guys saw the fight right there, right? And then at one point in time in the background, you can hear a female, basically egging people on. And then she even says, yeah, get in there, Maury. Get in there, Maury. Now, the name of this individual was Demarion, right? So I don't know 100%. To me, I think it's a fair assumption to assume that that's a nickname of his or an abbreviation. And she actually was encouraging this 12-year-old to participate in the jumping of this individual. Now, I don't know if the video they showed on Instagram was the video in its entirety, but once he was finished being jumped, he whipped out a weapon and he shot 2 shots is what I heard, unless, like I said, unless they cut some of that tape off. Now, it's unfortunate, right? Because once again, this young man was only 12 years old. And so now let's show a video of a news story relating to this shooting.
He was playing football, and finna start. I can't do that.
Sorrow runs deep for 12-year-old Demarion Moorhead's loved ones. His life ended Sunday night when police say he was shot in the head during a fight in downtown Nashville.
Why did he bring a gun?
Yes.
That's what I want to know.
24-year-old Devin Orr is accused of pulling the trigger. Investigators say Orr was being punched and kicked during the altercation. According to detectives, videos show Orr involved in a fight with 6 or 7 people, including Demarion.
I know a lot of people gonna say what they want. If they gonna feel the way they feel about the situation, you see videos, you take your perspective of it. I'm okay with that, but we lost someone. We lost a baby. He was 12.
Police say Demarion was among those running away when Orr fired shots. His family says they're focused on grieving while they wait for answers.
Let us grieve. Let us grieve. Everything will come to light. Everything that happened will come to light. Let us grieve.
They hold on to the memories they made with him over his 12 years of life, from his love of football to his passion for music.
He was finna start football camp. He was not a bad child. He was not a bad child. He just made bad decisions.
And they will always cherish the final conversations they shared with him.
And that's the last thing he said to me, and I'm grateful that he did love me.
Aaron Cantrell, News Channel 5.
And in my opinion, man, any loss of life is extremely sad, right? Now, once they show this video, it definitely paints this young man in a very different light, right? It makes him look like the average young 12-year-old. You know, they showed him in his football uniform. They showed him sitting in front of it looks like a home DJing studio or system, something along those lines, right? And, you know, his grandmother and his family are talking, and they can't understand what went on, man. So first and foremost, let me give my heartfelt condolences out to the family of that young man, and let me say rest in peace to that young man. This is an extremely unfortunate situation, man. But like I said, this segment is called Straight Down the Pipe, and I'm going to have to come straight down the pipe with what's my opinion, right? And keep in mind here, man, y'all can feel free to disagree. We can have a debate, we can have a discussion, and people can disagree, right? But here's my opinion on that situation, right? Now, they said that it was a fight, right? So obviously it appears to me, and I'm from the outside looking in, it appears that that was a pre-planned fight, like they had met up somewhere. And then you also, if you can recollect, hearing the grandmother, I think it was the grandmother, she said, I don't know why he brought a gun, right? Who knows why he bought a gun, right? He may have had the gun with him for situations like that, right? Or he may have had the gun with him because it's something that he always does, right? I looked up, one of the first things I did when I saw the story is I looked up whether Nashville was a open carry state. And it definitely is an open carry state, right? So let me read to you guys exactly what it is. It said in relation to that. Yes, Tennessee is an open carry state, but with limits. Permitless carry law eligible people can carry a handgun openly or concealed without a permit. And this law took effect July 1st, 2021. Then it says down here a few important cautions. It mainly applies to handguns. So he did whip out with a handgun. Not automatically every type of firearm. You still must be legally allowed to possess a gun. You still cannot carry in certain restricted places like some schools, courthouses, posted private property, and other prohibited locations. Tennessee still has location-based firearm restrictions, even though many adults no longer need a handgun carrying permit. So the simple answer is yes, Tennessee allows open carry, including permitless open carry for eligible people. So to me, it pretty much seems like he has all those bases covered, right? Who knows now if he has any prior convictions or an arrest history that allows him not to carry a gun legally. But besides that, in my opinion, right, he has all those bases carried. Honestly, my opinion is the man should not have even been arrested. And I would not be surprised at all, right? I would not be surprised at all if in the upcoming days we see this individual released with the charges dropped. I get the feeling, right, that due to the young age of the individual who was killed, 12 years old, I believe, once again, Demarion Moorhead was his name. I think due to his age is somewhat tugging at the heartstrings of those in law enforcement, right? Because once again, the man was beat, jumped, and pummeled for 30 seconds. 30 seconds of being jumped by 6 or 7 dudes, being kicked in the face and kicked all in the head, can actually do a lot of damage and leave a person dead, brain dead, or just with serious injuries, right? Even if these individuals were only 15, 16 years old, it's hard to make out, how old they exactly were. And who knows, some of them may have been older than that. In my opinion, right, it seemed like the pack that jumped on the individual, it seemed like that was something they had already had planned. They all stood back real cool and calmly and let the 2 dudes start fighting one-on-one. The fight was lasting literally, man, maybe 4 or 5 seconds. Then they all rushed in and jumped him, right? So it definitely seemed like it was planned to me. So the second thing that came to my mind once I seen this video and thought about it a little bit was, does Nashville, Tennessee have a heat of passion law, right? So I looked up that. Let me read you guys what it states about that. In Tennessee, the heat of passion concept is basically covered under voluntary manslaughter, not as a full excuse for killing someone. Tennessee law says voluntary manslaughter is the intentional or knowing killing of another person while the person is in a state of passion produced by adequate provocation. Now, those words right there, in my opinion, are extremely important. So once again, adequate provocation. And then it goes on to read, and that provocation must be enough to make a reasonable person act irrationally. It is a Class B felony. Then it goes on to say, in plain English, Tennessee recognizes that a person may intentionally kill someone, but the circumstances may show it was not cold-blooded murder because something happened suddenly that caused an intense emotional reaction. And then it goes on to say how it applies. It can reduce murder to voluntary manslaughter if the prosecutors charge someone with second-degree murder. The defense might argue this was not a murder. This was a killing done in the heat of passion after serious provocation. If the jury agrees, the conviction could be voluntary manslaughter instead of murder. The provocation must be legally adequate. It is not enough for the person to be angry, embarrassed, jealous, disrespected, or upset. The question is whether the situation would cause a reasonable person to act irrationally. Tennessee courts have said whether the facts amount to adequate provocation is usually a jury question. Timing matters. The killing generally has to happen before there is a reasonable cooling off period. If someone leaves, thinks about it, comes back later, or acts out of revenge, that is much harder to call a heat of passion. So let me read that to y'all once again, right? Because I think that's extremely important. The killing generally has to happen before there is a reasonable cooling off period. If someone leaves, thinks about it, comes back later, or acts out of revenge, that is much harder to call heat of passion. It's different from self-defense. Self-defense says the killing was justified because deadly force was reasonably necessary to stop imminent death or serious bodily injury. Tennessee has no duty to retreat in many situations. So honestly and actually, that applies as well, right? He has a self-defense claim as well after reading this, right? So it goes on to say, Tennessee has no duty to retreat in many situations if the person is legally present and not committing certain crimes. Heat of passion is different. It usually admits the killing was unlawful, but argues that the emotional provocation circumstance makes it manslaughter rather than murder. If two people get into a sudden violent fight and one kills the other in the immediate emotional chaos, a Tennessee jury might consider voluntary manslaughter. But if one person gets insulted, walks away, gets a gun, comes back and shoots, prosecutors will argue that it's murder and not heat of passion, right? So I think that anyone with even a small amount of common sense can see that this guy clearly has several different defenses, right? If in the event he is forced to go to trial, which once again, I honestly don't think he will. I think that he may be in jail a few more days, maybe a week or two. Who knows, right, how things work out there in Tennessee. They may keep him in jail a little while to let the community calm down, or who knows, they may release him in the next 48 to 72 hours, right? Even before reading this, right? Even before reading this, and I'm talking from a legal standpoint, right? Any street cat will tell you that, man, the dude did what he was supposed to do, right? He pulls up for a fight or whatever, right? If we're going with that theory, right? I don't know if that is what's correct. I'm just going what was put out there, right? So if this was just a head up fight and this dude still pulled up with a pistol, it's an open carry state, right? So these dudes go to squabbing, he starts getting jumped, right? So even according to the streets, man, the dude done what he was supposed to do, right? I don't think that the dude should have to start checking IDs before he go to popping that thing. You know what I'm saying? The dude was jumped, and if you out there in the street and you got too many twos, you don't need to be in the street, right? You know what I'm saying? So for those who might be square and from Delaware, or you know what I'm saying, they scooting down the side of the street in a wheelchair. Let me break down the twos for you, right? If you're too young, if you're too soft, if you're too scary, if you're too scared or unprepared, and any other tools that apply, then you should not be in the street. This dude was too young, right, to be out there in the street being involved in man activity, right? It's a very, very, very sad situation, right? But we coming straight down the pipe, and that's how the situation was. That's how it played out. Once again, man, you have 6, 7, 8 individuals jump this dude for 30 seconds. This dude is being kicked all in the face. Right at the end, he receives 2 hard kicks to the face, right? And you guys may be able to, this will be easy to find on Instagram somewhere, right? And so this dude receives 2 good hard kicks to the face, right? So the dude was angry. You know, the dude is being beat. More than likely, his equilibrium is spinning. You know what I'm saying? And he pulls out that thing and goes to popping, right? So I don't believe the dude is obligated or required to do an ID check before he starts popping. You know what I'm saying? And now, from a legal standpoint, the dude has every right in the world, right, to do what he done in the state of Tennessee, because I believe any person adequately is going to say that what happened to him was adequate provocation for him to pull out a gun, and his life was in imminent danger, right? And so, once again, man, it's a very, very sad situation, right? It's a sad situation, but if we coming straight down the pipe, we got to call a ball and a strike a strike. You know, the world is a very different place now, right? The world is very different. It's much more violent than it was even 20, 25 years ago. You have a lot of individuals now carrying guns, whether it's legally or illegally, man. And in this day and age, man, I sincerely and I honestly tell all the loved ones around me, you know, my friends and especially my family members, the only thing that you can control is your actions, man. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't engage. Don't do anything that could create conflict, right? Because you never know how somebody is feeling, right? 2 or 3 days ago, I'm riding in the car with a person, right? A family member. The family member feels that the driver next to us is intentionally not letting my family member get over, right? And then so we're going down the street, then eventually it turns into 2 lanes. And so the car pulls up on the left of us. Now, I've talked to my family member before about not indulging in road rage, right? My family member likes at times to blow the horn at people. The horn should only be used as a tool to prevent an imminent wreck. It should not be used as a tool to express anger, frustration, displeasure. Man, I hate when I'm driving down the street and you got some idiot just laying on the horn for 30, 40 seconds. And a lot of times it don't even be necessary. People be blowing the horn out of frustration, right? And so I tell my family members, stop doing that, right? One day I'm driving. A car whips up behind me real close and then shoots to the left of me and passes me. My family member hits the horn. I'm driving. So we proceed and go ahead to where we going, which was a local store. We pull up in the store and look who pops up. And I had just told my family member maybe about 2 weeks ago, a week ago, stop hitting the horn and doing that. You know what I'm saying? Look who pulls up. It's the car who my family member blew the horn at. So now the dude in the car says, hey man, why you blow the horn? Now I have to get involved in a situation that I knew better of, right? So I said, hey man, listen, this is my car, my horn. I blow my horn anytime I feel like blowing my horn. You don't, control when or when I do not blow my horn, right? Swear for God. The dude say a little something back. I tell him, get out the car and let's figure it out then. Get out the car and let's figure it out. He drives off. I scolded my family member for at least a month straight because here you are, you're jeopardizing me now. I've made it extremely clear I do not have the luxury to engage in any type of physical activity. But the individual that I am, that if a person confronts me, at times I'm going to bite, and that's something that I'm working on, right? I am who I am, right? So back to now, this individual pulls up on the left. My family member turns to the left to look at the car that was driving. And I think my family member had blew the horn in that situation. I can't remember, right? But anyway, the person that's driving just doesn't happen to look over. So I say to my family member, why did you happen to look over there? My family member's talking about, I can look and so on and so forth or whatever, right? But, just minimizing the situation. But I'm telling my family member, the reason you looked over there was to feel that person's energy. If the person had been looking to the right, you guys staring, that could lead to something. You don't know what that dude may have in that car. What if the dude looked to the right and said F you, called you a disrespectful name or whatever? Then it's a situation, right, when all you had to do was keep looking straight. You know what I'm saying? And I think people who have not been involved or have not seen as much violence that I have seen on the streets and in prison don't understand. All it takes is a bad day for a dude to lose his cool and go bonkers. So now, I don't engage. I mind my business. I don't do the mad dogging, none of that stuff, because you can do that 6 years straight and get away with it. And then one bad day, you run across a dude who's having a bad day and it could turn out bad, man. So back to this young individual, right? It's sad and it's unfortunate. But if that young man had not been out there in those streets participating in activities that could lead to something like this, he would be alive today. And once again, it's an extremely different world. Everybody seems like they are more violent or have the potential to be more violent than people were 25, 30 years ago. So once again, man, rest in peace to that young man. My condolences to his family. It's a very, very sad situation, right? But at the end of the day, I honestly don't feel that shooter should be in jail. The man was jumped. He was viciously attacked. He was kicked, so on and so forth, right? And, honestly, I think that whole crowd that jumped him should feel lucky that the dude didn't let off more shots. He didn't turn around and, because after he was kicked in the face and as he's on his knees and he's able to withdraw the weapon, the dude who kicked him in the face is literally 3 or 4 feet behind him, and he's pretty much up against a wall. Some people may have just went berserk and aired the whole crowd out. And, with so many people jumping him, it's very likely that you could have had actually more people hurt, injured, so on and so forth, man. So, like I said, I wouldn't be very surprised if in the near future at some point they drop those charges on that individual and they release him from from jail. If he does, in the event, go to trial, I'm willing to bet the house. I am willing to bet the house he won't be found guilty of anything more than manslaughter. If that, man, any lawyer, any lawyer would be able to defend this dude and get this dude out of prison, right? And like I said, I don't believe he's gonna have to do all that stuff. And if he does take it to trial, I believe that he would be found not guilty. Anyway, man, it's a sad situation, but you are now rocking with No Chill for Real. I'm not your doctor, and I don't care how you feel. If you own my 16 to Life channel, slide on over here to my No Chill for Real channel, sign up, and let's get cracking. It's like a smorgasbord, a YouTube smorgasbord channel. We discuss a lot of things, and 90% of the channel, we're going to be lighthearted. We're going to have fun, you know what I'm saying? Every now and then, we'll discuss some serious topics like this. But, yeah, man. So, until the next episode, respect the code.